folks, welcome to the Kitchen Garden, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about summer pruning. I was inspired by, we've got a great feature coming up by David Patch, who's a proper fruit expert, in our August issue, so if you're a regular reader, look out for that one. But I've got a couple of fruit trees here myself which are going to need a bit of a trim. Now it's only June, we're getting towards the end of June, third week in June at least. And normally you wouldn't be doing this until July, August, but the trees really have grown this year. So as well as controlling growth with summer pruning, it's also good for getting rid of pests and diseases. And I've noticed this year that we've got quite a lot of pests and diseases, and in particular woolly aphids, which I've never had on my trees before, but this year it's really quite bad. So one of the best ways of getting rid of it, because it tends to be on the younger shoot tips, luckily here at least, also do find it on the older wood, but here it's on the younger shoots. I'll be able to prune a lot of it out, so I won't have to worry about spraying or anything like that. We'll just be able to prune it off. So these are my trees, or at least a couple of them. Quite small. I'll prune them every year. As I mentioned, one of the reasons for pruning, of course, is to keep the trees small. And as David explains in his feature, if you cut back the shoots like these, you can see this is all the extension growth from this year, all this which goes back to here where my fingers are, so that's a good 6-8 inches of growth there, probably perhaps a little more. If you cut that back to one bud from the old wood, and you can tell the old wood because it's dark and obviously got a harder bark on it, and the lighter growth from there is this year's growth with light green bark. Cut it back just to one shoot. It keeps the whole tree in check, but it also concentrates the tree's efforts on making fruiting spurs rather than more leafy growth. So summer pruning concentrates the plant's attention, if you like, on fruiting, winter pruning on growing. But so we're talking about summer pruning, and I'll show you some of the problem I've got with these trees. If you'll just bear with me, we'll go through. It's a bit of a maze to get to, but here we are. We've got two things here. So we've got powdery mildew, and earlier in the season it was this, you can still see actually some of this white coating on the leaves. That's powdery mildew. Later on they turn yellow, by which time the spores have moved on and infected other shoots. Oh, that one's coming off. But I've also got, as I said, woolly aphids, which is this fluff you can see here. I mean, it doesn't do a massive amount of damage to start with, but it does eat into the wood. The wood will split, the aphids get right into the cracks and crevices. You really can't get them out. You have to literally scrub them out or wash them out with a strong hose, but you almost have to get a scrubbing brush to get in there, or cut out the cankered shoots when it gets that bad on older wood. But say on mine, because it's a new infection, I guess, you can see it goes right along that. Lift it up there. Whoops. Let's see if I can. There you go. Goes right along that branch. Nasty fluffy growth. They haven't got many predators really, because they cover themselves in this waxy wool and not much can get to them. So what I'll probably do is go over these trees soon. I'll cut those bits out, and I've got a bit here I can show you which is even worse actually, and this is a little cordon trained tree which is got a bit wild, if I'm honest. I'm not very strict with my pruning, a bit lax, and sometimes things aren't as good as they should be, but I'll prune that bit off. It's quite a big chunk which is just got too big, and you'll see just how bad this woolly aphid has got, all this fluff. Hope you can see that. So by pruning that off, There you go, a bit more there. There's loads on this branch here, all along there. By pruning that off, then I've effectively got rid of that. But I've also cut back the tree so that it will keep it within bounds. That was an old branch which wasn't very productive and can come away. And we've got this other one here, which I showed you before. And I'm just going to take that right off, right back. Get rid of all that infected and infested growth. But then that's the drastic stuff to get rid of all the pests. But then if I can find a good branch to show you, I'll come round again. Excuse all the camera shake and everything. We'll take off some shoots. This is sort of more normal summer pruning, if you like. So as I say, you trace back the shoot like this one to where it's dark bark and meets light bark, and then you're just going to cut that off. You can cut it to one leaf, some say more like 3 leaves from the base, but by chopping that off, oops, there you go, you'll concentrate the plant's energy on producing fruiting spurs next year. No more than 3 shoots, but you can take it right back to 1. There you go, leaf curling aphids. And you can tell those first symptoms are these sort of yellowing, crinkled leaves. When you turn them over, they've got aphids on them. In fact, when I do prune that shoot, again, do my summer pruning, that will take all that off anyway. So all that will come away when I do my summer pruning. So, let's say 2 reasons for summer pruning again. Just to keep the tree in shape, keep it concentrating on producing fruiting spurs, but also you do take off an awful lot of pests at the same time. So, yep, come June, July, August, think about doing your pruning. Once the shoots get, as a general guide, as long as your secateurs, that's the time to start pruning. Cut back, as I say, between 1 and 3 buds. And if you're a regular reader, do look out for David's really excellent feature on summer pruning in the August issue of KG.